This documentary examines how the media frames our knowledge of the term sport, as well as how gender and ethnicity are modulated through their treatment in media sports material. The large media sports audience is a very precious commodity indeed. Sport has been turned by the media into a worldwide mega-business in which the assets of screen time, print space, sports personalities, sports teams, and their audiences are all interconnected and have a significant economic worth. Television has successfully transformed big sporting events into a vital component of its organizational infrastructure, and intellectual product becomes a crucial commodity, the value of which may be realized and utilized in a variety of ways. Sport has been described as an incredibly conservative domain for the representation of men and women, with essentialist notions of gender manifesting more frequently than in any other aspect of contemporary society, and sports media as an overwhelmingly male and hegemonically masculine domain that produces coverage by men, for men, and about men.
Even when female athletes try to avoid sexualization in the media, they face reaction from spectators and even peers, confirming the importance of sex appeal in women's sports. According to the Harvard Law Review, female athletes in the United States have historically encountered criticism for not limiting themselves to feminine activities. The feminist movement has made great progress to enhance the position of female athletes since the early 20th century. Prior to the success of the movement, female athletes had to play in far worse facilities, with different regulations and stricter dress codes than male competitors. Polish sprinter Ewa Klobakowska had won bronze running the women's 100 meters at the 1964 Olympics. A few years later, officials made sex testing mandatory for female athletes at the 1966 European Track and Field Championships, and Klobakowska was forced to undergo inspection. She was physically examined in what was called a nude parade, where female athletes were examined by a panel of doctors who would inspect their genitals to confirm their sex. Klobakowska passed her test and qualified as a female in 1966, but the next year officials replaced physical exams with chromosomal testing, meaning she would have to be tested all over again.
Champions and keep winning until we not only become the best female soccer team, but the best soccer team in the world. And that a whole generation of girls and boys will go out and play, and that they'll be inspired to talk and win and stand up for themselves. And I believe that we will make our voices heard, and TV shows will be talking about us every single day and not just once every 4 years, and that women will conquer more than just the soccer field, like breaking every single glass ceiling and having their faces carved on Mount Rushmore, and that we'll keep fighting not just to make history, but to change it forever.
Gender equality in sports. Female participation and popularity in sports increased dramatically in the 20th century, especially in the last quarter century, reflecting changes in modern societies that emphasized gender parity. Although the level of participation and performance still varies greatly by country and by sport, women's sports are widely accepted throughout the world today. Although there has been a rise in participation by women in sports, a large disparity still remains. Before each ancient Olympic Games there was a separate women's athletic event held at the same stadium in Olympia, the Heraean Games, dedicated to the goddess Hera. In the first Olympic Games and the early modern era, which were in 1896, were not open to women. But since then the number of women who have participated in the Olympic Games have increased dramatically. The modern Olympics had female competitors from 1900 onward, though women at first participated in considerably fewer events than men. Women first made their appearance in the Olympic Games in Paris in 1900. That year, 22 women competed in tennis, sailing, equestrian, and golf. In the 21st century, Heather Watson and Fu Yuanhui broke one of the last taboos in women's sport when both openly admitted they were menstruating. Watson after a self-described poor performance in a tennis match in 2015, and Yuanhui at the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. The 2012 London Olympics were the first games of their kind in which women competed in every sport. The fight for women to gain equality on national levels and in professional leagues, in terms of pay and better funding, has continued. The pay gap in women's sports is a controversial and significant issue. Sports still remain dominated by men, financially and globally. Recently there has been much more crossover as to which sports males and females participate in, although there are still some differences. It is important to give women equal opportunity in sport governance. Society will need to move away from the social conditioning of women into gender stereotype roles and allow for young girls to choose their own path, especially if that includes an interest in sports. Men must begin to see women as equals before women can truly be equals.
In Olympic Games, the gold medal has already been won. Will she now make history as well and become even more of a legend of the sport at just 17 years old?
Kesetaraan gender sampai hari ini masih menjadi isu hangat untuk dibicarakan di seluruh dunia. Berbagai upaya telah dilakukan untuk meningkatkan kesetaraan gender di berbagai bidang, termasuk di bidang olahraga. Dalam olahraga, sudah seharusnya laki-laki dan perempuan memiliki hak yang sama untuk berprestasi dan menekuni olahraga secara profesional. Namun, masih banyak orang yang menilai bahwa olahraga identik dengan laki-laki dan perempuan dirasa kurang cocok untuk berkecimpung dalam dunia olahraga. Menyadari akan pentingnya isu kesetaraan gender dalam dunia olahraga, Komite Olimpiade Internasional atau yang disebut dengan International Olympic Committee memiliki sebuah komisi khusus yakni Women in Sport yang fokus dalam meningkatkan kesempatan partisipasi perempuan dalam dunia olahraga. Mereka memiliki dua event besar sebagai bentuk nyata advokasi partisipasi perempuan yakni IOC Women in Sport Awards yang diselenggarakan tiap tahun dan the IOC World Conferences on Women in Sport yang diselenggarakan setiap 4 tahun. Di Indonesia sendiri, upaya meningkatkan partisipasi perempuan dalam dunia olahraga terlihat dari penyelenggaraan Pekan Olahraga Perempuan pada 2018 lalu oleh Fatayat NU yang didukung penuh oleh Kementerian Pemuda dan Olahraga Republik Indonesia. Peningkatan partisipasi perempuan dalam olahraga sendiri sudah terlihat mengalami peningkatan sejak Olimpiade musim dingin yang diselenggarakan di Pyeongchang, Korea Selatan tahun 2018 lalu. Dengan jumlah atlet perempuan mencapai 1.242 atau sekitar 43% dari seluruh peserta. Melihat hasil ini tentunya memberikan harapan besar untuk mewujudkan kesetaraan gender di bidang olahraga. Terlebih lagi, salah satu agenda Olimpiade Tokyo 2020 adalah untuk mewujudkan partisipasi perempuan mencapai 50% dari keseluruhan peserta Olimpiade. Harapan saya, target 50% partisipasi perempuan dalam Olimpiade Tokyo 2020 dapat terwujud dan perkembangan kesetaraan gender yang signifikan dalam bidang olahraga ini dapat menular ke bidang-bidang lainnya seperti dunia kerja dan pendidikan, serta dapat mengubah persepsi masyarakat mengenai perempuan yang dinilai lemah. Melalui olahraga, perempuan telah membuktikan bahwa perempuan pun mampu, perempuan pun bisa, perempuan pun kuat, dan sudah seharusnya mendapatkan perlakuan yang adil dan kesempatan yang sama dalam berbagai bidang. Selamat Hari Perempuan Internasional, Balance for Better.